वासुदेव। हरि ओम। शं नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शं नो भवत्वर्यमा शं न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। CVV योगमार्गस्य प्रवक्तारं परं गुरुं गीतायोगस्य पारज्ञं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ओम अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। Welcome to all our brothers and sisters. So, we will continue the study of the subject of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which we have commenced last week. So, in the very first sutra, as we have seen last week, Atha Yoganusasanam, that means now there is the instruction for yoga. That is how it commences. So, the sutras of Patanjali are in the form of instructions. As we have studied last time, one can find directly the procedure to be adopted or the procedure to be put in practice. So, without much of technicality. So it is practical instruction. That is what we see in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and also in Bhagavad Gita. Regarding the science of yoga, the most authentic and the most applicable textbooks are Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So, yoga is not just something which we keep practicing the whole life just for a limited time as one compartment of our daily life. Generally, most of the people, what they understand by practice of yoga is just some techniques on the using the physical body, like the yoga asanas, the postures, are also the techniques of making inhalations and exhalations. So only these are understood as the practice of yoga. But these are also very necessary, because on the physical plane, to keep the physical body in good condition, it is necessary that one should keep practicing and applying these physical asanas as prescribed in these texts of the Hatha Yoga. That is what is called Hatha Yoga. These asanas and all these things, they also are included in the total subject of yoga. But that doesn't mean that this is just enough. If you every day you just practice these asanas to keep physical fitness, which is required, but that is not just enough, and that is not just completely what is explained by the term yoga. So practice of yoga, that means whether a person is practicing yoga in daily life or not, can be observed by a change in the attitude of his life. So what is the change before starting the practice of yoga and after starting the practice of yoga? So it is the attitude of towards the life, the daily life. That means, suppose one can find that he could gain an ease of living in attending to his daily work in every aspect. If he could experience an ease of doing it, then there is a change. And also on the level of mind, because all this is not only the physical body is the ultimate on which every change or every thing is manifested. But there are the five senses on work and also the mind. So the mind is the most important center or aspect in us, which keeps sensing through the activity of the senses. So how we behave in our life depends upon this activity of senses and mind. So the attitude of a person is observed, or how a person behaves depends upon the behavior of the mind. So therefore, yoga is A practice of yoga should lead to the yogic way of living. That is the goal. So not only just 1 hour or 2 hours are just a compartment of daily life, but the whole life in the mundane plane, what we live, should be transformed into a yogic life. So how can you find a difference between a person who has stepped into yogic life and a person who is still on the non-yogic way of living? So a disciplined life, which is not by compulsion. So a discipline is to be applied not by compulsion. Suppose, for example, you are driving on a road. So there are some rules and regulations which we have to follow on the road, on which way we have to keep, whether we are on the left side or right side, depending upon the country where you are, and how to follow the traffic rules and all these things. So there are two ways. One is by compulsion and by fear of being caught by a police. Many people keep observing, following this. But if you are following this just automatically, without any compulsion or tension, when you are driving, you are driving following all the rules and regulations automatically. So this indicates that you have entered into the practice of yoga. So the practice of yoga is to be reflected in every activity of your life. Also, similarly, also in your transaction with other persons, whether at home with your family or outside in the society. Suppose you are emotionally disturbed frequently by the behavior of the other person, and you become irritable or irritated by the other person, and frequently get irritated and disturbed in mind, which creates disharmony between you and the other person. But when you have entered practicing yoga, gradually there should be a change, that you can be undisturbed irrespective of how the other person behaves. So first it should reflect, and it should start from your home, from your family. Because harmony as disharmony can be experienced even at your family, within your family, at your home. So if there is gradually the disharmony is neutralized and you could keep harmony with ease, that shows that your practice of yoga is going on progressively like this. With every transaction, what you make in your daily life, there should be a time when always you are in that yogic state. So the practice of yoga should lead you into yogic state of living. The whole life should not be a period of practice. If the whole life is always still in the period of practice, that means you could not experience yogic state. So then, what is the yogic state? How can we attain that state? That is what is explained by Patanjali. In the second aphorism, he says, Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha. Yoga means suspension or stopping the behavior of the mind. Chitta in Sanskrit means the mind with its behavior. Later Patanjali will explain how many types of behaviors are identified with the mind. So chitta vritti. Chitta vritti means behavior. Chitta vritti, the behavior of mind. So yoga means the suspended state of the behavior of mind. What happens when the behavior of mind is suspended? That is explained in the third aphorism. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada means then. Drashtuhu. Drashta means the perceiver. Swarupe avasthanam. That means avasthanam means to live, keep living in Swarupe. Swa means his own, Rupa means shape. So when the behavior of the mind gets suspended, then only it is possible that the perceiver who has been practicing yoga, when the activity of the mind is suspended, then only it is possible that he can live in his natural or original state, Swarupa. Swarupa means in his own state, in his own form. What does it mean? So as long as the mind is behaving, how the mind behaves? The mind behaves in terms of reaction towards the environment. That is the behavior of mind. Mind goes on receiving the impressions through the activity of the five senses. We have our physical body as an apparatus. Our physical body is our apparatus, which we need to keep working. Without apparatus, you cannot work. So you need an apparatus to keep working. And the five senses, so this apparatus is on the physical plane, material plane. Our body is an apparatus which is on the material plane or the physical plane. Then the activity of the senses is on the vital plane. So the five senses have their corresponding organs on the physical body. This we know. We have our eyes as the organ for sight. We have the ears organ for hearing. We have the nose organ for smelling. We have our tongue organ for tasting. And we have our skin organ for sensing. Touch. So through these organs, these five senses have their activity, and these senses get into contact with the objects outside our body, our constitution. Through the activity of these five means of sensing. These five means of sensing is hearing, touch, and sight, and then tasting and smelling. Through these five types of activities, the senses are getting into contact with the objects or persons in the vicinity, outside ourselves. And what is happening through this activity of the senses is that they are receiving through this, they are sensing, and through this sensing they are focused on the screen which is there in us, and that screen is our mind. For example, if you find a person whom you call a friend, so the person whom you call a friend cannot step into you. He is outside. He is before you. You can sense him, his presence, either by looking at him or by listening to him. So by the activity of the senses. But the person himself cannot step into your body. Then how can you call him a friend? It is because you are receiving the image of the person. The person is outside, and the image is received on the screen which is in yourself. That screen is your mind. And then as long as there is image, the screen cannot be observed. You see, when we are watching a movie, what is happening? A movie is projected through a projector, it is projected on the screen before us. All the time when you are observing the movie, you are experiencing, and you can never remember the screen. You can remember the screen when the projecting of the movie is stopped. Then only you can feel the presence of the screen before you. In the same manner, mind cannot be experienced as long as there is this phenomenon of projecting. So, whom you call friend is a person, and his image is received on your mind, and this image creates an impression, and your mind starts behaving in terms of this impression, and this you call him your friend. You cannot find something like a friend in the other person by any means. It is only the impression which is made in your mind about the other person by receiving the image of the person. So, how you behave with that other person whom you call friend is in terms of this impression which your mind is making after receiving the image of the person. So it is the same phenomenon with any object or any person around you. So the object cannot be, it is only the image that is received by the mind, object by itself not. So you see a banana before you on the table. You call it banana. But what you call banana is the image you have received of the object. So, through your sense of sight, you have received the shape and the color of banana. Through your sense of smell, you could have the smell of the banana, the fragrance. And through the sense of taste, you have received the sweetness of the banana. And also, through other senses also, you have received it. All this is your impression of banana. But for itself, it is not banana. Just like how the other person whom you call friend or enemy, for himself he is neither friend nor enemy, but it is what you call him as enemy or friend. So all that what we perceive through this phenomenon is this phenomenon of sensing which is made by our mind is making the mind behave in terms of this receiving, this image that is received of the objects around us. So then what is happening in our daily life? From the moment that we open our eyes in the morning from sleep, till the time we close our eyes at night to get into sleep, all the time our mind is receiving so many hundreds and thousands of such impressions on its screen. And this is causing our behavior according to these impressions. So this is what is called a reaction. You see the person before you whom you call friend, you are behaving in terms of the friend. You feel very attached or attracted because you call him friend. Attraction is there. In the same manner, if another person is there whom you call enemy, then there is a repulsion. That means a different behavior with that person. So your behavior with the other person is in terms of these impressions. But it is not your true behavior. So when this is happening, the whole time of your lifespan is continuously engaged or influenced by this type of activity of behavior of mind. So that is chitta vritti. When this is going on, there is no time or no possibility for your real expression. So there is no possibility of swarupa. So you are on the standpoint of a perceiver. Drashta. He is called Drashta in Sanskrit. Drashta means perceiver. So every one of us is a Drashta who perceives always. So Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. Swarupa means being in our real existence. What is our real existence then? That is the question. Because all the time our existence is conditioned by the impression due to the image that is projected on the screen of our mind. So then, what is our real existence? Our real existence is as I am. That is our real existence. But how much time you could experience this state of real existence? How much time you can remember that you are I am? You see, suppose if you ask, who are you? To ask me, who are you? Then I may say I am a doctor or I am a teacher. That is the reaction. So, what is happening? I am not remembering that I am myself. So, what you call doctor as teacher only is an superimposed fact. To whom I am a teacher? Just think of it. To a student I am a teacher. To a patient I am a doctor. But as myself I am neither doctor nor a teacher. I am just like other person. This we never think because we have no chance to experience this I am. So that is why what is happening? My behavior is influenced by this behavior. My experience is influenced by this behavior of the mind. So I feel I am a doctor. I forget that I am a human being. All the time we do not remember that we are human being. We always think in terms of these things. I am a doctor, I am an actor, or I am the chief. Like all these things. These are all superimpositions. Then the real existence is not at all experienced either by you or by the other person who is before you also. Suppose I am with my wife, then I remember that I am a husband. Then what happens? When I think of myself as a husband and forget that I am a human being, then as a husband I make some expectations. I expect how, because she is wife, then also I forget that she is also a human being. So the real factor is always forgotten, that we are human beings and everybody is I am, this is forgotten. And how we behave in terms of husband or wife. So that is what is happening. All this is chitta vritti. So what is yoga is to get stabilized in the real experience as the real I am. That is yoga. And that is possible when the activity of this mind is suspended. And this is to be practiced. Practicing again and again, we have to put into practice until we get habituated to be in that experience. So that is important. So practice of yoga should be every moment of your life. So practice of yoga is not just limited to the physical movements or something for a short time. So the breathing exercise, also it is necessary every day, okay. But that is not just enough. Every moment you should be able to keep yourself in this state where there is suspension of the activity of mind. So when this activity of mind is suspended, then what happens? Patanjali says in the third aphorism, Tada drahu swarupe avasthanam. Tada means then. When means when the activity of when the behavior of the mind is suspended, the behavior of the mind. Because yoga is suspension of the behavior of the mind. So when the behavior of the mind is suspended, that is what is meant by tada in the third aphorism. Tada means then. Then means when the behavior of the mind is suspended, then drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. Then the perceiver can stay in his real state of existence. That is the meaning of the aphorism. If this behavior can happen, if the suspension cannot happen, if the suspension does not take place of the behavior of the mind, then what happens? That is explained in the fourth aphorism. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Itaratra means otherwise. Otherwise means if behavior of the mind cannot be suspended or cannot get suspended, that is the meaning, that is what is meant by itaratra, otherwise. If it is not suspended, what happens? Vritti sarupyam. That means he gets identified with the behavior of the mind. if the behavior of the mind cannot be suspended, then you live identified with the behavior of the mind. How the mind behaves? The mind behaves in terms of impressions. That is the nature of the mind. See, every object has its own nature. Similarly, mind has its own nature. So the nature of the mind is to keep behaving in terms of the impressions received about the other person or the object. So as long as the mind is allowed to exist like that, it keeps behaving like that only. Why? Because it is its nature, it is habit. What is the habit of the mind? The mind has its habit of behaving in terms of impressions received through the activity of senses. So this is to be clearly understood. The senses are working because they are the tools, they are the implements. If the senses are not there, what happens? You cannot receive any image from outside. So if you think that if you close all the 5 windows, suppose the 5 senses are like 5 windows. If somebody feels that these windows are disturbing me, so let us close these windows. Okay, you can close the window. But you cannot close the window of your mind, because it is the mind which is working through each of these 5 senses to receive the impression. So even if you close, but still the mind can behave because it has already the impression of the image. Suppose there is your enemy before you. So you have already an imprint of the impression about that person that he is your enemy. If you don't want to see, you can close your eyes. Even then, the impression which is already received is focused on the screen of your mind. You see, you cannot escape this. So whether you have open, whether your eyes are open or closed, it makes no difference. Suppose a person is addicted to drink alcohol. So even though the person has closed his eyes, suppose a glass of wine or beer or some alcoholic drink is brought before him and kept on the table before him, even though his eyes are closed, but it can be sensed through smell also, and the impression about that object is already there in the mind. So immediately the mind brings this impression on the screen. Therefore, the mind continues its behavior in terms of that alcohol. So therefore, it is the mind that receives through each of these 5 senses. So it is the activity of the mind. That is why what Patanjali said is suspension of the behavior of the mind. He did not say that suspension of the working of the 5 senses. The working of the 5 senses has no such significance more than just be the channel for the mind. It is the mind. So it is the mind that behaves. in terms of the impression. So if the suspension is not made, then vritti sarupyam. Then what happens? The person gets identified with the behavior of the mind. So automatically what happens? If you have a person whom you call enemy, whom you doesn't like, then you get out. You can show your anger, all these things. This is because vritti sarupyam. When you have seen that person, your mind is stimulated because it has received the impression of the person as an enemy. As long as this impression is there, this behavior is there, you cannot realize that the other person also the same I am what you experience as yourself. So therefore your behavior is conditioned. So like this, our whole daily life is conditioned. It is not real, our real behavior and real experience. It is all conditioned, conditional behavior. I behave as a husband, I behave as an officer. So all my behavior is not real behavior there, because it is conditioned by the behavior of the mind. So vritti sarupyam. So this type of behavior has nothing to do with what we know. I can be a professor, I can have many degrees, I can have so much of experience in teaching for many years, unless there is suspension of the behavior of my mind. So practice of yoga, is applying every moment, applying this to our behavior, so that we should not get identified with the object or person. Our mind should. So what happens in our daily life is, when we come across, in one day, for example, you come across so many different persons. So with every person, you behave in terms of that person, not as yourself. That is what is happening. When you are speaking with your husband, you behave in terms of husband with that person. When you are speaking to your wife, you behave in terms of your wife, but not really with the person. So like this, what is happening is, if you can observe yourself the whole day, if you observe yourself, just suppose you have a machine to observe you, to make a note of how you are behaving. So you are coming across 100 persons that day, for example. So with each person, the time you spend with each person, that time you behave in terms of that person only. So it is not your true behavior, true experience. So for all these 100 persons, the time you have spent with all these 100 persons is only in terms of the behavior of your mind with each person. So this is what is experienced as the busy life in the modern society of living. We feel that we are very busy. What is the meaning of this word busy? Busy means your mind is constantly engaged in such type of behavior with every person, every object and all these things. This is what is called being busy. So what happens? You get very exhausted because you are very busy. You can always feel, I am so busy that I am exhausted after some time. Yes, if you are busy, you are exhausted. If you are not busy, there is no need to get exhausted. This is not, there is no need for you to be exhausted or get weakened and all these things. So, you see, you are more exhausted, more tired, not because of the work which you are doing with your instrument of your body. You are tired because of this activity of your mind, because the mind keeps you busy always. It is just like, for example, there is a screen and when one picture is focused on the screen, you can enjoy the picture. You can observe and enjoy the picture. Suppose two pictures are focused simultaneously on the same screen from two different directions, how it will be? It will be very awful. You see? Such is the state of our mind. With all these impressions, when all the impressions are carried, it is just like focusing on one screen, because we have only one screen. And so many pictures are focused simultaneously. So then you can have no clarity of any picture. So all is clumsy. So this is our daily life, clumsy life, because of such type of behavior. You see, can you read two books at a time? How can you do that? You have two books, you can keep two books side by side. You can read only one book at a time. You cannot read both the books simultaneously. How can you do that? This is ridiculous. Or can you write on two different things on 2 pages simultaneously? Suppose you have a person who can write with both hands. He can write with right hand, left hand. It is okay. You can write with both the hands. But at the same time, can you write on 2 different pages, 2 different subjects simultaneously? It's ridiculous. So such is the life of the person who gets identified with the objects through the impressions received and through the behavior of your mind. So, vritti saropyam. So, therefore, unless you can practice that how this type of behavior is suspended behavior of the mind, you cannot really enjoy the life given to us. You see, we were given with wonderful, nature has given us wonderful apparatus of this physical body, of these senses, of the mind, and all this apparatus is wonderful apparatus. To make best use of it and to have a good experience, enjoy it really. But are you enjoying it really? No. We need not ask any other person. You can look into your face in the mirror and question yourself, are you really enjoying? Answer is always no. You can tell other person, yeah, of course I am enjoying, but for yourself, you cannot. You see your own image in the mirror and see, are you enjoying? You question yourself. Are you happy? If for efficacy, if you ask me, you say, oh, of course I am happy. But you ask yourself in mirror. You go into a room where nobody is there, stand before the mirror, ask yourself, are you really happy? Then you will know. So, you are expected to be happy and enjoy life, but why you are not able to do this is because of this type of behavior, vritti, chitta vritti. And because of this chitta vritti, you are getting identified, vritti sarupyam. As long as you are getting identified, then there is no possibility for you to keep yourself in your real nature of perception. Yeah, that is distorted. When there is a distortion, then how can you have a real perception? Suppose you have your glasses wearing, you want to read something. When there is some fog or something, some distortion on the glasses, how can you see this properly? In the same manner, your perception is distorted because of this behavior of your mind. So what is required for us? What is the goal of, what is the aim of yoga is that you can be able to experience the real perception. The real perception is the inner light, perception of the inner light. That is possible only when the behavior of the mind is suspended. Without this, it is not possible, because the mind keeps on behaving. As long as you allow the mind to behave like that. But since the problem is, you are getting identified with your body, with your senses, with your mind, you have no possibility to observe your mind as an observer, your own mind. You try to observe everything using your mind, that is the problem. You are allowing your mind to observe, but you are not trying to observe your own mind. When you start observing your mind, then your mind, the behavior of your mind can be suspended. So yoga, chitta vritti nirodha, that is why in the aphorism what he said, yoga is the suspension. So the suspension should be natural, not by compression, oppression. You should not suppress or oppress. You should not suppress activity of any of your senses also. You cannot suppress this, because if you try to suppress your activity of your senses or mind, then there will be great disharmony and it leads to ill health, disorder in your health. It leads to dangerous condition. If you feel that your mind is disturbing you, if you want to fight with your mind, but you are using the same mind to get out of this, how can it be possible? This is where we have to understand very clearly. You are trying to use the same mind for this. What you want is, you want to have your behavior of your mind to be suspended. For this purpose, if you want to use the same mind, how can it be possible? This is the riddle. Therefore, Patanjali gives us very clearly in his aphorisms how, in a most harmonious and scientific manner, we can apply the tools. What are the tools are also explained by Patanjali. So therefore we have made an entry, a little understanding of first three aphorisms, and we will proceed further about the tools given by Patanjali, what are to be applied for this purpose of suspension of the mind, that we will see in our next lesson. Thank you all. Vasudeva.